guys, how's it going? Welcome back. We've got the Vox VT15 Valvetronix. It is part solid state, which is going to be your entire preamp section with all those lovely effects that are built in. And of course the power amp section is an AX7 tube, which is usually used as a preamp tube. But in this case, Vox thought, well, let's do something different. Let's use an AX7, which is quite awesome because I've got 3 spare brand new Russian AX7 tubes in hiding. So it's like, yeah, I got tubes for the next 100 years for me. Anyway, so 15 watts, man, it's not bad. It cost me 120 bucks at the local pawn shop there in North Bay at Hawk Exchange. There was something rattling in it. Although it worked, it had some cut-in cutouts. I'm like, it's probably just, it's an old dog amp, and I'll just spray some Deoxit 5 in there and we'll be good, right? But then I heard the rattling and I'm like, got me curious, man. So I said, can you crack this puppy and let's see what's rattling? Well, they tried, but that cover was so tight, they didn't want a chance breaking nothing. So I said, well, can you do better? Sure, we'll knock 10 bucks off. All right, get her home, pull the screws, pop a butter knife in the corners. Finally did get the back off, and oh my goodness. Talk about hard to get off. Oh, Vox, man, you made things way too tight. But I guess when they wanted airtight, they went for it, that's for sure. Because it was a real pain to get it back on. Actually, I had to use a plastic mallet and watch how I leveled and inched in the cover. And it's like, oh gosh. Next time I take this thing apart, I really got to shave some of that side pieces off a little bit on the sander. But anyways, so all went well. We found $2.30 scattered across and inside the speaker. And it's like, oh, that explains a lot. All right, now we know. So the thing works beautiful. Perfect. Awesome. It even has a power output control knob on the back. So, you can actually have it sit lower, turn your dials up, and have that nice tone. So it can kind of sort of retain your tone really well even at lower volumes. Which also makes it perfect for the bedroom as an amp because you can just dial back and then crank other things up and really not tick anybody off. So even great for those of you who live in apartments and don't want to get in trouble with the neighbor. So anyways, anyhow, this is what we got. Now this is with the knob set at the 3/4 mark. If I pull this back to half, now my volume is at half, my gain's at 10, my master is at 12 or half, bass, mid, and treble are all in the middle. This is how quiet things get. Whoop. There. That's it. But we can turn the volume up more just by itself. Okay, now with 22 different amp models, we do have a lot of choices. And we have 11 effects on a dial. And then, of course, the reverb is your 12th effect. And you can just do whatever you want with it, up or down. So when you bypass the main effects, they're not on or active. But the reverb is always available to you as a separate control. Because, hey, come on, everybody wants a bit of a wet signal, right? Like, too dry is too boring. Right? So, I kind of like it sitting around the 10 o'clock area. But just by turning this dial up to like the 3/4 mark here, and the volume is still at 3 o'clock, nothing else. Everything else, like, gains at 10, masters at 12, okay? That's clean and loud, and we're not even full tilt here. Now, in case you're wondering, the guitar I'm using, it's actually my Telecaster, traditional 2 singles like it should be. Off the volume a bit. Now, if we want to add like a bit of chorus into there, we have a lot of different combos. Actually, we have delay, tape echo, we got chorus delay, chorus compressor, octave chorus, regular chorus where we are now, flanger, fans are rotary, tremolo, and pitch. So you can have that like a deep organist sound. Now this thing can get definitely obnoxious. So let's leave it at the 3/4 mark. Yep. Half volume. Leave the gain around 11-ish. Master in the middle. Touch of reverb. Let's get rid of the effects. Now I want to go through a couple of the model amps with you guys. Obviously that was boutique. So we're going to try a different one here. Let's go for, they've got an AC30 amp here. There's two different ones. And let's go to UK 25th, they call it. And if you're into a little bit of metal, alright, and this would be US, looks like US 90s, if I'm reading it right. Lot of fun, lot of fun. Okay, this one should be boutique metal. And if I'm right, this will be Metal Bull. And let's just pick a random one here. Green. Green should be our first one in line, so this should be a Super 410. EQ control too, so pull the bass back, crank the treble, crank the mid. Alright, and our red one should be the Tweed 410. You know, for a guitar amp, this thing does throw a fair amount of bass. So let's just add a lot of gain, like all of it. Alright, pull that gain back. Anyways, as far as the effects go, let's add some chorus on here. Anyway, now I don't know how often you're supposed to actually replace a tube in an amplifier that has them. I've had tube amps before, and it's kind of like, well, they're new enough that, yeah, I'm good for a long time. I do know it depends on how much you're playing it, and I do not know the history of this amp, so I'm kind of guessing from some of the sound that I hear, it's possible the tube probably should be changed, okay? Could be wrong, but I'm going to look into it more. Because I don't want to change it if I don't need to, even though I got 3 spares right now, right? And besides, it's a real pain to get that back cover off. Then you got to pull the whole friggin' preamp out, and yeah, well, that part's easy. Getting the back cover off, that's not. So, but even for the sound I get, I mean, even if the tube did need to be replaced, this thing's still got great sound. I like the boutique amps on here. They're really nice. How well this thing's going to take to pedals or not, or a pedal processor. My last Vox amp, which I believe was the DA15, you can check my channel, it did not like pedals or a processor board at all. Okay, so I'm guessing this one was probably going to be along that same line. And that was a solid state amp. That wasn't even a tube one. You've got like phaser, flanger, all this stuff on here. Let's go to the pitch. You want it really deep. There. Alright, so there's definitely a lot of stuff in here. Just a bit of delay here. And it does have tap tempo, so you can get a lot more control over it. And any of the effects that have the tap tempo accessible, you can get a lot more than just the edit dial. And you can save your own presets in this thing too, right? It does have its own built-in stuff. Now, without touching any dials, here's the thing. When you're in manual mode, you have full control over the entire panel. When you're in preset mode, that's different. This is called green, and I am on the boutique amp, but I don't know what they programmed in here, but let's see what it does. Now, if I switch to the other boutique amp, same preset. so let's go to orange. Some of these are a little obnoxious. Red. Now let's go over one. Let's go to a metal lamp. We'll start with yeah, green first. We'll start with green there. I have to get back. Now we can dial some of that power back so we don't go so deaf and feedback. So whatever they set it at, it just like takes over, right? So it's pretty nuts. I like it. Anyways, let's turn this thing off. We'll go ahead and know that for one day. I'd love to put this amp right where it belongs, 4.5 out of 5. I'm still not sure about the tube, like I said. I have to look into it, but I think it's okay. I don't see any real problems there. Some of the effects, how they've chosen their modeling amps, could be dialed back a little because they're maybe a little too bassy, or, you know, which is kind of weird. I mean, guitar amps are normally not bassy, but this thing with the amp models they've chosen do throw a lot, especially when you're simulating a 4x10 cab into an 8-inch speaker. Honestly, guys, I think one of the things they should have corrected in the beginning was make the grate taller and put in a 10-inch speaker. Because I think that for 15 watts of tube output, because that AX7 is your power amp out tube. It's normally used for preamp, but they didn't do it that way. They went kind of weird. It's got so much for 15 watts that I really don't think this speaker is suitable enough to handle all that, you know what I mean? I think it should be a 10-inch, and they did have the room, they just didn't make use of it. Because I mean, you can look at the breakdowns on this amp online. You can download the inside guts, and they literally could have easily fit a 10-inch speaker in this thing, which I think if they would have done that, I think they probably would have even sold a lot more. I haven't seen many of these things on YouTube, like very few, okay? But I've also never seen them floating around too many places either. So I'm kind of like, you know, was it a garbage amp or what? Well, no, I mean, it's over 10 years old, right? And people upgrade their equipment, and other equipment just gets thrown to the wayside or whatever, right? Well, they sell it on eBay and it goes all over the planet. But I think if you get a chance to pick up a VT15, the only maintenance you need to really worry about, other than maybe clean the pots every few years with some Deoxit 5, would just be that one tube. Now, I don't know what AX7 sell for brand new right now, but back in 1986, when mine were purchased, the Russian ones that I have, they were about $23 a piece back then. So, and I still have the original price tags on those tubes. And it's like, oh, I wonder what they cost today for the same exact ones. But I got 3, so I'm good for a while. So I may replace it. I just got to get up the motivation, you know, because it wouldn't hurt to put a fresh tube in the thing anyways. Like, who knows if it was ever even done before. And it might actually, you know, help the poor thing. I don't know. But The speaker I know is in great shape too. I mean, I have no issues with the speaker. I think it's just that with that kind of 15 watts of tube power going into that speaker, I think maybe even a higher wattage speaker would have been better to put in to handle that, because tube wattage is completely different than solid state wattage. We already know this. Tube is way louder, but it does have some very superior clean, which is kind of making me think maybe I don't need to replace the tube. Anyways, I got it at 4.5 out of 5, okay? So I paid 120 bucks Canadian for this thing at the pawn shop. They were asking 130, which I think is still a pretty good price. And just that we had the issue with the rattle, and they gave me 10 bucks off, and I got an extra $2.30 with a change out of this thing. So kudos there. Save a little bit more money. But fantastic amp. Great shape for its age too. No static on the dials anywhere. It's all fine, you know. So yeah, I think it's definitely worthy buy it. But I don't know what it's going to be like with pedals. I don't have any, and I don't have a processor board anymore. So I have no clue how it's going to take to that. But if it's any much the same as my DA15 that I had, then I'm going to say it's probably not a great platform amp for pedals. But it is definitely a great bedroom amp. It definitely has, oh, so much power if you want to play this thing in church. And we have a large sanctuary in our church. I would literally get probably hung out to dry if I turned this thing up even half to what I did in here. So yeah, it's loud, okay? If you're going to play this thing on stage, like in parks, like a, you know, maybe a small park type of thing, I think it would work great. Especially if you mic'd it up, it'd be even better for bigger areas. But you know, you would have to mic it up. I mean, it's not going to keep up to, you know, a 100-watt guitar amp by itself, like no way. But if you mic it up and put it through the PA, it'll certainly keep up that way. Pretty much any amp would. I think for coffee shop gigs, you know, go to your local farmer market, do a gig there type of thing, play music. Definitely perfect there. In your church, at home, in the bedroom kind of thing. Doesn't matter what kind of an apartment you live in. You've got the power feed at the back. So if you want to retain your sound as much as possible, set your stuff, dial back that knob. I had it at half when I started the video, I believe. Or we turned it to half. Anyways, it gets pretty quiet at half, even with everything else at half. But then you can still go further back yet, you know. So yeah, it's got some pretty good cookie power, and it's got a lot of good effects in it. So, you know, it's definitely an amp that's going to get you going really well. And you can save your own presets too, so that's also a bonus. And I like how you've got, like, right up top here, 22 different modeling amps, just pop between them, that's it. And it's like, that's fantastic, you know, and the other presets, and oh. And then you go around the dial of the presets, right? And on top of that, it's like, oh, there's so much in this thing, right? But you heard it yourself when I hit one of those presets, how loud it got. It was like, holy cow, you know? So it's like, I need to turn this down. And your best way is to actually turn down the dial at the back instead of messing with the controls. Because when you mess with a control when you're on a preset, it'll bypass that part of it, okay, or a big part of it. So if you want to retain it, do it from the backside control. This way you don't bypass the preset, okay? But anyways, and you can get a foot switch for this thing. I don't know if they still have them available on Amazon or not, or anywhere else. I don't know where you get one, but you know, it's a three foot switch. And one jack in. No, you cannot plug this thing out into a bigger cab. There is no speaker out on this thing. But who cares? It's a great amp just the way it is. It's like kudos. Anyhow, I'm sure I'll have this one for hopefully a long time because it is a really nice amp. I really like it. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. And yep, I know we're at 25 minutes. I'm so sorry. But hey, we've got to cover stuff, right? See you on the next one.